Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. I'm Coretta. In this video, I will be showing you how to make a screen printed t-shirt using vinyl and your Cricut. Come on y'all, let's get started. For this project, I will be using a speedball screen printing kit. The kit comes with your screen, a squeegee, and ink. I am going to be using a spoon to scoop the ink out. I'm going to use painter's tape, some transfer tape. I have some Oracle 651 premium vinyl, and I have some heavyweight cardstock and a Gildan cotton t-shirt. I will leave a list of these items in the description of this video. So here in Cricut Design Space, I am going to upload the design I want to use for my screen printing image. To upload the design, I am going to select Upload on the left toolbar. I'm going to select Upload Image. I'm going to select Browse. I am going to browse to the location of the image. And then I'm going to select the PNG file. And then I'm going to select Open. This screen is showing the design I am uploading. So I am going to select Continue on the bottom right. This is a PNG with a transparent background. There's nothing to do here, so I am going to select Continue on the bottom right. On this screen, I am going to select Single Layer because I am cutting a one layer silhouette cutout. Then I'm going to select Continue on the bottom right. This is the image detail screen. I am not going to change anything on this screen, so I'm going to select Upload on the bottom right. Next, I'm going to size my design to fit a large shirt. To size my design, I am going to make sure that my design is selected, and on the top toolbar under Size, I'm going to leave my lock proportion locked, and I am going to change my width to 10 inches and hit enter. My height will change proportionately. Now that the design is sized, I am going to select Make in the top right corner. On this screen is the design on a color coordinated mat. For this project, I will be using permanent adhesive vinyl. However, I will be placing the vinyl on the back of my screen printing screen. Because of that, I am going to toggle on the mirror option. This will flip my design backwards. Next, I'm going to move the design to the center so that I can have a little border around the design, so that when I am pushing the ink through, it'll have a little border around it before it gets to the design, and I could place the ink right above the design. Once that's done, I'm going to select Continue on the bottom right. On the material screen, I am going to select Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy. With all the settings complete, it is time to load the mat. For the Oracle 651 permanent vinyl, I will be using the green standard grip mat. When placing the permanent vinyl on the mat, I am going to place it with the shiny side facing up and the paper side facing down on the mat. I will get this cut and come back to show you how to weed the design for screen printing. So the vinyl is cut and now it's time to weed. When weeding your permanent vinyl for screen printing, you want to remove the parts of the vinyl where you want the ink to go through the screen and onto the shirt. This process is called reverse weeding. Now that the design is weeded, the next thing I'm going to do is apply the transfer tape. So I did take the transfer tape and I put it on my shirt so that it could kind of like get a little bit of lint on it so it's not so sticky. So I'm just going to apply the transfer tape and I'm just going to put it in a U shape, lay the middle down first, and then let the sides fall. Then after that, I'm going to burnish the transfer tape onto the vinyl, just so I can make sure that that vinyl adheres to the transfer tape. And then I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to remove the paper backing from the transfer. And you want to go slow when you're doing this because you don't want any of your inside pieces to come up. If any of your inside pieces come up, you just lay them back down and keep going. Okay, so here is my speedball screen that I will be applying my vinyl stencil to. Because my stencil is landscape, I'm going to be applying my design landscape. If your design is portrait, then you would apply your stencil portrait. So I am going to apply my stencil to the screen. So to apply the stencil to the screen, I'm going to have my stencil laid on the table with the sticky part facing up, and then I'm going to put my screen down on it. And I just want to make sure that when I put my screen down, that the design, that the stencil is straight under the screen, because it's going to make it easier to align your shirt. And so I am just going to place the screen onto the stencil, and then I am going to use my squeegee to squeegee it down to the screen, making sure that the vinyl makes contact with the screen itself, with no bubbles or anything. Then I'm going to flip the screen over, and then I'm going to remove the transfer tape from the vinyl. And you want to go really slow when you are taking your vinyl off, the transfer tape off your vinyl. You want to go slow because, again, you want to make sure that your vinyl sticks to the screen. And sometimes it will come up, but you know, just take your time and put it back down so that you can kind of go slow. And again, if any of the pieces, center pieces, come up, you just push them back down and keep going. Once I get the transfer tape off of the stencil, I am going to flip it back over, and then I'm just going to use my squeegee, and I'm just going to burnish it again to make sure that the vinyl is making good contact with the screen and that there are no areas that are lifted so that the ink doesn't go through it. And so you just want to make sure that you burnish down the vinyl to the screen. After I get the design onto the screen, I am going to use painter's tape on the back side of the screen to tape off the areas that is around the stencil that I do not want any ink to come through. And so I'm going to use my painter's tape to tape off that area. Next, I'm going to place a piece of 12 by 12 heavy cardstock in the shirt. This is going to keep the ink from bleeding to the back side of the shirt. And so I'm just going to put it inside my shirt. Now I'm ready to start. So the first thing I'm going to do is center the screen onto the shirt. I am using a piece of painter's tape on the top and the bottom to mark my center of my design so that I can place it down center. I've also pressed a center line down the middle of my shirt. And what I'm going to do is I am going to place this about 3 inches from the bottom of the collar. And what I did was I just flipped it over and then I measured down the 3 inches. So this is about 3 inches down. So the top of my design is about 3 inches down. And so I know, let me show you. So the top of my design is about 3 inches from the edge of the screen. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the edge of my screen on the bottom of the collar of my shirt. Bring it down. So this is 3 inches. When I flip it over and I measure, that is about 3 inches from the bottom, from the design to the edge of the screen. And that's how I measured my screen. So again, I'm going to flip it back over and then I'm just going to align center with my shirt. So about right there works for me because I can feel the bottom of my shirt. I can feel the bottom of my shirt right here. So that kind of works for me. And I'm okay with the alignment. So for this project, I'll be using Speedball fabric paint. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to, let me open it up. Set that out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop some ink out of the jar and I am going to place it down across the top of my design, and I'm gonna put like a little bit, but a generous amount. I'm trying to put down enough so that I can make sure that ink gets into the design. So I'm just gonna lay it down kind of thick. No need to worry because you can take whatever you don't use and put it back inside of the jar. So that's my ink. Sit this down over here. And then what I'm going to do is with my squeegee, I am going to be using a little bit of pressure and I'm just going to hold my screen in place and then I'm just going to slide the ink down like that so that it fills in all of the spaces. So I'm going to do this maybe once or twice, probably 2 times. I'm just going to make sure that the ink gets into the design. And once I'm finished, I am going to place the ink back into the jar. So all I'm going to do is just put the ink back in the jar by scraping it on the side like that. And you just put all of the ink that you didn't use, you just put it back inside of the jar. And so I'm going to sit this out of the way. You want to make sure that you have a place to sit it down so it doesn't make a mess. And then what I'm going to do is, after I finish applying my ink, I'm going to remove the screen. And so this is the nerve-wracking part. So I'm going to hold my shirt down, and then I'm just going to pick my screen up. So let me slide it so you can see. Make sure you can see me. So I'm holding my shirt down, and then I'm just going to pick my screen up like that. And then that's the design. I missed a few down there, but overall I like it. So once you are finished with your design, then you want to make sure that you immediately wash out your screen, because you want to wash your screen under lukewarm water. You want to do it immediately afterwards, because otherwise it will stain your screen and ruin it. So I'm going to let my ink dry while I clean out the screen. You can let your shirt dry overnight. You can use a fan or a heat gun to dry it. Okay, so once the ink is completely dry, you will need to heat set it. To heat set it, you can use an iron, a easy press, or a heat press. I am going to be using my heat press at 340 degrees for 40 seconds. I'm going to use some parchment paper to cover up the ink to protect the top platen on my heat press. So I'm pressing it at 340 degrees for 40 seconds. Okay, y'all. So here is the shirt, and I think it is so cute. What do you think, y'all? Let me know in the comments what you think. All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope that you're able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.